No, ladies and gentlemen, Borderlands The Pre-Sequel is not a bad game. In fact, it's one of the best games in the series. You just wouldn't know it if you paid attention to the community in Borderlands Online and just general gamers. It's very weird. It doesn't get talked about much. It's not part of the discourse. It makes no sense. Some people would even say it's probably not worth playing in 2025 for some stupid reason. But I'm here today to make a case for why this game's pretty good. I don't really have a lot of points, actually. It's just really fun, and I encourage you to go back and replay it and give it a fair chance with a fresh character, because it's a lot of damn fun. Now, in all seriousness, I get it. I do. It's not a super well fleshed out game from an endgame perspective. There's not a lot to do once you beat the campaign twice, go through True Vault Hunter mode and max out your character level. There's not a lot of dedicated drops. There's not a lot of raid bosses. They're technically one, but it's just replaying the final boss of the game. There's only one DLC, and while it's one of the best in the entire franchise, it's still only one with one good boss fight. You're just not left with a lot to do. You got the grinder mechanic, which is cool, but it's RNG. Then you just end up farming for Moonstone to throw it into the grinder to guarantee the best RNG you possibly can. It's not the best endgame loop, I get it. Now, granted, 2K Australia made this game and they got shuttered like 5.5, 6 months after the game came out. Just imagine if they had gotten full funding, 3 more full-fledged DLCs like the Claptastic Voyage. Whew. This would be a very different story today. But yeah, most people consider this a little bit of a disappointment, and it's odd. I mean, just look at the time it came out, October 2014. Guys, 2014 was a really good year for gaming. I don't know if you know this, but here's just a few that I have listed. Halo Master Chief Collection, Forza Horizon 2, COD Advanced Warfare, I get it, it's another COD, but at the time, it was hype. Middle-earth Shadow of Order, Far Cry 4, Watch Dogs, Dragon Age Inquisition, Wolfenstein The New Order, the list goes on. Again, solid freaking year for gaming. It wasn't exactly, poised to do well being sandwiched by a lot of these games. And I personally barely even remember my own experience playing this game. I only played through sloppily once through the main campaign, didn't touch True Vault Hunter, barely made it, I don't know, a third or half the way into the DLC, and I played as Claptrap with no build guide, no anything, just being an idiot. I was a kid, I was in high school, this was summer of 2015. But Borderlands 4 is coming, and I'm replaying all the games. That's why I had the video on BL1, a little bit on BL2, a little bit on some other stuff. So I went back and I gave it another fair shot. New character, we went with the Doppelganger. Come on, it's the most OP in my opinion, my humble opinion. And it was fantastic. I had very mediocre expectations, but I'm so happy to say that those expectations have been absolutely blown apart. Not even remotely close. I loved it. I did. If you've seen my video covering Borderlands 2 versus Borderlands 3 from kind of a math, scoring, and weighting perspective, then you'll know that I personally put the most weight on gameplay, the moment-to-moment action, the movement, all of these kinds of things. That's why I think 3 is a better game than 2. Obviously, the story's worse, but I don't care about story that much, right? Although, if we're talking about story, let's be honest, Borderlands Pre-Sequel is probably the most important story in the entire franchise and has a lot to do with the upcoming stuff, all the war that's coming with Borderlands 4. But regardless of that, if we add Borderlands Pre-Sequel into the same model, I wouldn't be surprised if it's tied with Borderlands 2, maybe even beating it, because the gameplay is so much fun, albeit a little bit polarizing. And yeah, it's subjective to some extent. Obviously, you, as a player, are going to have different weights for different aspects, the core main aspects of these games than I am. I get it. You might care about story the most, or endgame the most, or gameplay, or maybe specifically the variety of loot, or the NPCs, the dialogue, the jokes. There's all these different aspects. For me, it's gameplay, the rule of fun. So going back to Borderlands The Pre-Sequel, I absolutely loved the core gameplay. It's not for everyone, but it is for me, baby. It's floaty, it's vibey, dare I say synth wavy. Even in the indoor maps, you're still double jumping, floating, and slamming around. And have I mentioned laser weapons? I cannot believe the piss poor excuse we have for laser weapons in Borderlands 3 after giving us legitimate lasers in Borderlands The Pre-Sequel. There's a few here and there in 3, but an entire weapon class in Pre-Sequel, I want to see that come back in 4. I'm crossing my little fingies as hard as I can here, my god. I love it. It's so much fun. I'm sure it's probably a little overpowered. There's a little bit of, a continuous damage bonus for most of those weapons. So as long as I'm within short to medium range, I'm just melting everything. I had no problem shredding the raid boss. Granted, I was over leveled, but I digress. Anyways, the rule of fun carries hard with this one. But naturally, like I've mentioned, there is a lack of legitimate endgame. I get that. And you know what that means for you as a viewer, for you as a gamer in the community? You don't see as much content. There's not enough to do to make for good content. There's a reason why Jolts and K6 continue to play Borderlands 2 and 3 respectively. They love those games, and there's tons and tons of endless in-game content. But I fear that too many people in the gaming industry, in the community, in the world, mistake a good game for a good content. They are not necessarily synonyms. A game does not have to be good for content for YouTube algorithms in order to be considered good. And vice versa. There's plenty of stuff that's great for the algorithm that's probably not actually that great of a game when you really boil down and dive into it. So no, you're probably not going to see some of your favorite creators grinding Borderlands The Pre-Sequel. There's not much to grind, but that doesn't mean it's not worth going back and playing, because it is a damn good time. And in 2025, let me tell you, things are crazy. Things are borderline dystopian at this point. You want to give yourself every opportunity you can to unwind and have fun with good games. And it's worth your time replaying, especially with Borderlands 4 on the horizon. I'm still putting my foot down, and I'm betting, I'm guessing right here, we're getting it in May. Someone hold me to this. Comment if I was right or wrong. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. That's all I got. It's a really good game, and I don't know, I see a lot of negativity in the community. I'm not super deep into it like some people, but I peruse the Reddit, I peruse some of the creators and the conversations going on Twitter, and you know, I see a little bit, and this game, it does not get the proper respect it deserves for being as damn fun as it is, and despite not being perfect, it's a pretty great story. That DLC is one of the best. Truly, Claptastic Voyage is top tier DLC for like any DLC I've ever played for any shooter game. All right, that about does it. If you like the video, it does help me out. Subscribe for more of your second favorite F word, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.